been, a hard start time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is unconstitutional.
Hangout on air is going away later this year. Just a heads up, everybody.
So then what are you going to use?
We're still trying. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like there's this, Appear In, which works really well. The only problem with that one is you can't stream it to YouTube live. You can record it and download it. So that may be what we go with. It's only I think it'll be like $15 a month or something like that. So it's not totally unreasonable. But I mean, Hangouts on Air are still going to be there. It's just going to cost you like $75 or more a month for us to do it. Yeah. Because it's like to be able to, when I was looking into it, you have to become a part of Google Office, and everybody's got to be on account. And it's a lot of these things like Zoom and all these things, it's a charge per person, and it's like, that's just unreasonable. $25 per person. It's like, well, there's $100 an episode. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, your other option is just stream live on Facebook and take comments or something. I know. I don't like any of those, and I'm trying to get rid of all my Google. I'm trying to eventually get rid of all my Gmail, everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've gotten rid of the Google. I don't use Google Search. I don't have any Google on any of my devices other than the Hangouts on here for this, and that's it. But I don't. Yeah. Trying to get rid of it because I have 5 Google accounts anyway,
I know, right? I know, I do.
Yeah. So
all right. Hey, Jeff McKinney.
Hello, Jeff McKinney. Meet Valerie Caruso. She does Twitter almost as well as you do.
Uh-oh.
and hi, Mom.
You guys can see.
I heard her crack that Pepsi, Diet Pepsi.
No, we can't see. We just know what's happening.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. So what are we discussing tonight?
So I think we're going to do the Supreme Court ruling, right?
Okay.
There couldn't be any more breaking news than that.
Fuck if I can spell.
I'm gonna get my dissent collar.
What else? It's the rule of 3. So we've got one article we're talking about.
So we've got, and then you can throw in a podcast award season is on us, or iTunes reviews are in, or
I think podcast award.
Ooh, we've got dry thunderstorms rolling through.
Dry thunder?
That was part of the Thundercats.
Sounds like the name of a shitty movie that plays on Cinemax starting around 12:25 at night.
I was gonna say male review. Thunder.
Dry thunder.
Seen them twice.
So we got our first comment. Thumbs up, dissent collar, yay, Val. Somebody's still spiking. It's got to be me. No,
is it me? Am I the one spiking?
No.
Is it me?
Me
I'm talking into my iPad. I'm not
smacking
using a real
my
mic.
lips on a beer is,
or is it
spiking?
Me? This week, I don't know. It's minor, and
let's take turns. Val, go ahead.
Val, go ahead.
John,
because I'm talking into my mic and into my iPad.
Yeah, John.
Okay.
Really, you're having problems with my mic again,
Jeff.
Hey, look at me! I'm a wacky guy.
All right, then it must be me, but even that's not doing it. So whatever. it's minimal enough that I can pick it. All right, let's do this. Anything else that you guys got to think about before we go?
I think we're good. Who's doing wine, beer, pop culture?
Ruyak.
Ruyak. You got it? You're good? Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're good. All right.
All right then.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me
Right.
recording. Everything looks good there. I'm gonna kill it. Maybe help the mouse go.
Ready? I am always ready. I have been ready since first call.
I was born ready.
Oh, it is Solomon that's spiking.
Knew it.
When you did the roll.
Really? That's what did it?
Yeah. Like I said, it's barely any, so it'll be
It
fine.
can't handle my bass.
All right. Here we go.
Dip. All right. Sorry. I'll shut up.
Really, that's impossible.
Get a job. Sorry. Go ahead. I want my baby back, baby.
This is all just gonna go in. Fuck it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Chili.
This is Steph Davis, co-host of the Wine 25 podcast and founder of Albarello Products for Wine Lovers. You are about to experience We Like Drinking.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 233 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing Supreme Decisions, podcast award season, and Glass is in session with our favorite podcast wine gal, Valerie Caruso. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get it drinking. Oh my goodness. Listeners, when we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court and Valerie Caruso is on the show, you know things are about to go off the chains. So let's get right into it. And let me say cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 233 of the only two-time award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on
Barbecue sauce.
It's a whole new twist this week. We can't wait for July 4th. Jeff Solomon is geared up for it and ready to go. What are you going to be barbecuing this year, Jeff Solomon?
What am I going to be barbecuing? My plan on the 4th of July is to not cook nothing. Just eat a big old bag of chips and drink wine from a can.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great 4th of July.
That's right. Walk around the street, try not to get hit by fireworks.
There you go. That's like a fun game of chicken out in the street.
Like,
That's fun.
You guys like Roman candles, right?
Right.
Love them.
I saw this dude break out a Roman candle that said, "Warning, we really mean it. Don't hold this one in your hand." He stuck it in a coffee can and it launched out 10 consecutive M80s.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
You could break into a prison with that. Like, it's nuts.
Could start a war with that.
Yeah. In Albuquerque, you have to dodge the falling bullets.
Oh God.
And that's just on a Tuesday.
Don't shoot bullets into the air, and do not let balloons go into the air, folks. There's this thing called gravity. It really works.
Save the
not-
turtles. Don't drink plastic straws and don't let balloons into the air. There you go.
Okay.
So if by now you've realized that you're listening to what is truly just absolute podcast gold, be sure to subscribe to the show by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe and make sure you never miss another minute of this. All right, so let's get to this. Let's find out who we're drinking. We got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm really excited to get to it. So let's find out who we're drinking with and what they're drinking with. We've got our wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Sure, that happened.
We've got our beer brewer, John Ruyak.
Yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. And I am your host, Jeff Eccles. And gosh darn it. All right. Mark this down for post. I am having some serious mouse problems tonight.
Uh-oh.
All right. Now, our guest tonight is a certified wine educator, lifelong learner, and shameless cork dork. You may remember her from episodes 13, 27, and 99. She was formerly a co-host of the Wine TWO 5 podcast. She recently launched her latest podcast endeavor, Glass in Session, a wine education podcast that releases twice a month and goes hella deep on a range of fascinating wine topics. Please help us welcome Val Caruso. Welcome to the show, Val.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back.
Is it?
We missed you.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
It
This
is.
is fun.
A
Yeah,
lot of
'cause
people.
I'm not the one worrying about the technical difficulties. That's all you guys. It's awesome.
All on
That's
me.
all you.
It must be nice to be sitting there and there's an immediate technical difficulty problems and you're just like, not me.
Not my problem. No, it's great. It's great to be
Not
with you
my
guys.
chair, not my problem.
I only wish it was in person. That's the only thing that would be better.
That would be better. So let's find out. Let's start with Val. Val, what is in your wine glass tonight?
Well, I actually have, some people call it cougar juice, but I have some Chardonnay. And
Yeah.
this is made by Robert Muller. Not lying. This is Muller Winery's 2016 Russian River Valley Chardonnay. And it is absolutely delicious. This is the second bottle I've opened in like 3 days of the same wine.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, he uses the Wente clone. He uses some nice oak. Got a tour of his barrel room. Really, really nice guy. His wife's wonderful, and so I'm part of their wine club. So it just shows up on my door, man. It's awesome.
So I just have to ask, because it sounds like you know Mr. Muller pretty well. Has he found that the 3-tier system is obstruction of juice?
Well, we haven't really discussed that too much, but he is a small producer, only about 2,000 cases or something like that. So, yeah, you pretty much just buy directly from them.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
yeah. But I got the joke there. He got the joke too, but he doesn't. I don't want to get them involved in the politics.
I'm sure he's tired of hearing it.
Yeah.
He's like, my life was great until about 2 years ago.
Well, the funny thing is actually people in DC had been ordering the wine, so his sales kind of picked up. But I said, I'm never going to drag them into the political thing because you could lose half your customer base. So I don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
don't
get
do
it.
that. Yeah.
All right.
So it's great wine, great juice.
Jeff Solomon, what is in your glass?
Well, you know, I don't know if you know this or not. The 4th of July is coming up. And I have just found myself like dedicating myself to like only drinking the most American of things that I can drink. And so I bought cases of Stone's Enjoy By 7-4-19. And I am going to drink every single one of these before the 4th of July. So you are in for a treat. A 9.4% unfiltered double IPA. It's delicious. Deliciously fresh.
And it did wonders to the show last week. Or no, next week.
It did wonders to the show next week.
That's right.
That we haven't recorded yet.
No, not at all. John,
Did I eat 8 hot dogs live on the air? You're just going to have to download next week.
John.
You know what? I went to the store and I picked up this what I think was some really good stuff. It's called St. Lupulin, and I'm, really kind of enjoying it. And I'm gonna test myself to see if I can save a couple of cans for next week's show.
Yeah, you should do that. I think I got some 5-barrel pale ale. Maybe I should run out and grab that. Except I've already opened this. So last week, folks, if as you remember, I hauled myself down to the Brass Brewing Company here in Colorado Springs. It got done with the show, and you remember we were talking about their Golden Stout, which unfortunately they didn't have on tap. But we also talked a lot about their Kentucky Common. I said, well, if I'm going to take a crowler home, why don't you give me some of that Kentucky Common? So that is what I'm drinking. This is what they're going to be. This isn't the one. They've got batch 3, their third recipe that they're going to be producing next, which is going to go to GABF. But this is their second run of their Kentucky Common, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this. So
Nice. For the uninitiated, what is a Kentucky Common?
Well, it's kind of it's kind of a cream ale type of style thing, but if you look up the recipe, it has it's got some corn syrup in it, or at least flaked maize. So, it's an adjunct beer. So, hey, if it tastes good, who cares?
it's tasty. You can see it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark brown. You can kind of see through it. Almost, it's a brown, maybe to a dark amber. Yeah, it's got a bit of a creaminess on the profile. There's not a lot of. It's more malty than it is hoppy, but it's nicely balanced. It's got a nice long finish. It's a hell of a good beer. I'm enjoying it.
Nice.
Cool.
So good job, everybody. Woody down and everybody down at Brass. All right. Okay. So before we get to Val's interview, we just have to take a moment. When you're listening to this, we may be into the month of July. And if we are, the We Like Drinking podcast is up for their third chance at a podcast award. So voting starts April 1st. And we would really appreciate it if you would go.
Whoa.
July 1st.
Thank you. July 1st.
July 1st. So we would really appreciate it if you went to podcastawards.com and voted for the We Like Drinking podcast in the arts category. So we can go for this three-peat, because then we're going to get really obnoxious about it. We haven't been obnoxious about our past 2 wins. I think we're going to go over the top with victory.
We haven't been obnoxious.
No.
Do you remember when Michael Jordan got his 3rd championship ring in a row, and he's just like running around holding up the 3 fingers?
Yeah.
That will be me. I will actually get some crazy glue and glue these 2 fingers together. So I'm just always throwing the 3 fingers.
Throw in the 3.
Yeah. And depending on where I am in the country, I might get shot by a local gang. I'm sorry.
or somebody may try and stick a finger into the hole in your.
And if you look at it, when I hold it at the right angle, I'll punch you in the arm.
You get to punch them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we really haven't sat down to figure out what our video concept is going to be for this year, but it's going to have to be crazy over the top for this one. So get out and vote for us. I think you can only vote once, but try and circumvent it and vote as many times as you can. I think it's just a one-time thing, though. We would really appreciate your help getting us to a win number 3.
And if honestly you're listening right now and you're like, fuck those guys, vote for Glass in Session with Val Caruso.
Oh, I'm not in.
No, doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
Right in ballot.
We're writing you in.
Just write in Val. Everybody will know what you're talking about. All right. So there's that. So once we get done with that, I'm going to break something tonight. All right. Second, I'm going to have to look
Well,
up.
your concentration's already broken.
Yeah.
No, it's
This guy's getting crazy. It's like he's listening to Limp Bizkit over there or something.
I don't know what is going on. All right. It's time. All right. All right. Well, now that we're done with that, let's get into some of the fun with
wine, beer, or pop culture reference. So you guys know how this works, I think. If you're new to the show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these guys a term, and I'm going to go around the room, as it were, and they're going to guess whether this term is related to wine, beer, or maybe a pop culture reference. So this week's term is passivation. Passivation. So, does anybody want me to spell it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Passivation. Passivation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think Eccles may have a guess at this, so I'm going to go to him last. Solomon, What's your guess on passivation?
So here's the thing. I don't know if everybody knows, because I don't know how many people actually listen to the beginning of our show. John Ruyak is a professional brewer. And I think sometimes what he does is he goes into his little bag of tricks, like he was brewing some beer today. And he just randomly like was dropping some brewing jargon. He's like, I know, I'm going to get these fuckers tonight. Passivation is when you so I don't know if you guys know this or not. When you're brewing beer, there are different stages, right? So passivation is when you go from, and you got to help me with this, John. At the beginning, when you're getting like the malts out, or the sugars out of the malts, that's called what?
That's saccharification.
Saccharification. Passivation is when you connect a hose to the container where you're saccharivaciating, and you let the liquid passively through gravity move into the next vessel, upon which the boil will take place. Passivation is the transfer from the one take to the other take. Passivation.
Okay.
By gravity, but only if it's by gravity.
So it's a beer, wine, or term, or a pop culture reference.
That's a beer term then.
Okay.
Passivation. It's
Val.
during the brewing process. You'd think John would know this.
You know, there used to be a show on in the 70s called The Liars Club.
Yes.
Anybody remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
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 Uh-huh.
And what Jeff just did reminds me of that. You know, so when I listen to this every week, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be a good Liars Club episode. But I honestly, passivation, I was leaning toward pop culture reference, but I don't know a lot about beer brewing. So if it's not part of a rap song, I don't know. I'm gonna go with a beer term. I don't know. I don't know if you got me on that one. Usually I'm yelling at you from my shower going, it's a grape! It's a Hungarian grape! What the hell's wrong with you? But no.
All right. Okay. So next time we hear Val fall off of her treadmill, we know that we did it right.
Elliptical.
Elliptical.
Yep,
All right.
Elliptical, yeah.
Okay, Eccles. We have 2 beers, and what's your guess?
2 beers, and then I'm going to go with a pop culture reference for this one. Passivation is a term that John experienced several months ago when he went through California, and he kept talking to us about how the drivers of California are so kind. And what it is when you're driving down in the fast lane and somebody slowly gets out of the way for you, so that you can pass them. That is the passivation process. That's what that is.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? I'm gonna have to tell my buddy Bill about your answer.
Okay.
Anyway,
Joke, or just let it.
yeah, just as a joke, because apparently I've had some drivers from out of state pull over to the side of the road while I'm driving up behind them at just slightly over the speed limit, but I guess they're uncomfortable with going the speed limit. So anyway,
They are passivationists, is what they are.
They just don't know how to drive. Anyway, passivation could be a beer or a wine term, but I'll give Solomon some props on this one. But it's got nothing to do with what you think. When you buy a new vessel, a fermentation vessel, they're stainless steel. And when they come from the manufacturer, they're fresh and they've had a lot of maybe welding done, ferrules put on the side to connect hoses, doors, manways, different openings within the vessel itself. You have fittings that are welded onto it, legs, things of that nature. Welding causes pitting and faults in the surface of the chrome steel. So you passivate it with either nitric acid or citric acid in order to clear out the impurities from the the microscopic little, even though it looks smooth, it's not at a microscopic level. So you clear all that out, and that's passivating the vessel. So you're eliminating any impurities on the stainless steel that could cause some, like a start point that could get underneath and spread. and it also reoxidizes the chrome on the surface of the steel to keep it corrosion free.
Wow. That's
Very nice.
Interestingly, that seems like a very active process of eroding your fermentation vessel and getting all that junk into the beer I'm drinking right now.
It's done. You do it once when you
Before you use it the first time.
before you freeze it the first time, and then if particularly in beer brewing, after a long time, you may get some beer stone buildup in it, and you may need to do a physical clean rather than a CIP chemical clean, and then you may repassivate a vessel at that point as well.
Wait, you clean the vessel before you brew it?
Yeah, every time.
That's not how.
No wonder the shit in my closet tastes funny. Okay.
All right, John. What was the term again?
Passivation.
All right. Well done, John. All right. So now that we're 20 minutes in, I guess we could get to our guest who is so patiently waiting for us to actually do what she came on here to do. And that was be interviewed by these three knuckleheads. So Val, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
It is great to have you back. We were commenting before the show started that it has been way too long since we had you on the show with Stephanie way back on episode 99. I can't believe it's been
Wow.
long since we had you on the show.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so some quite a bit has happened to you since we last talked to you.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations on your nuptials.
Thank you. Yes.
Wine 25 unfortunately had to say goodbye.
Yes, but it will live on forever.
It will be. But now we have Glass in Session. I love the name of that. It's trademarked, everybody. So back the fuck off.
It is trademarked.
So Glass in Session, I talked about a little bit how you go hella deep on a topic, but can you kind of give us your elevator pitch of what Glass in Session is all about?
It's still evolving. I've actually had the domain for about 8 or 9 years now. And
Oh, wow.
I actually built my website out on it originally. So whether you go to Glass in Session or Vino with Val, you're going to go to the same place. It resolves to the same address. And I thought, that is just kind of a cool name to have for a podcast, but I can also use it for wine tastings or whatever. So instead of Glass in Session, it's like Glass in Session. My vision, actually, when I was constructing the podcast, was to do different series, a season of series. So there are 3 seasons a year, bi-weekly.
Got it.
And then I take a month off after every season to just kind of, refresh, maybe put a trailer out or something, or go on vacation and just not worry about it. And the whole idea was to go into detail on something really deep. I had no designs on the first episode of the first season being about yeast. That's where we went. Floor yeast. I'm just fascinated with floor yeast and the wines that come from not just sherry but table wines. So I decided to make the first season about fringe wines. So everything I talk about this season is about something that you can probably find on the shelf, or you might have to look a little harder for it. It might be made a different way. Might be made from a grape like Thibaut, which you haven't heard of. It might be, again, floor aged table wines. There aren't a lot of those. Outside of Jura, France, there's some in Spain and Gaillac. So these wines that, they're waiting to be drunk and enjoyed if you can get your hands on them, but they're made a little differently. They're made with they're from a region you'd never heard of. So I'm actually, the one that's coming out tomorrow it'll be on Tavel.
Okay.
Which isn't so much a fringe wine, but they only make about half a million cases of that a year. But it's got a cool story. And there was some fringe Rhone outliers, and I had visions of making it 3 Rhone outliers: Tavel, the Diwa, and perhaps the Grignan Les Adamar. But Tavel took up the whole episode, so it'll be a series. I've got one on Spanish Rosado coming up, and then the next one I think it will probably be Diwa, and we'll be at the end of the season. So It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's great. I can hear how much fun you're having with it. Like you can just hear how excited and how much fun you're having, and I imagine, especially with only 6 episodes a season, you're going to be able to keep that excitement going the whole time. So you're going to do 6 episodes, then take a month off, another 6, and a month off, and
Right. So I have the editorial calendar out for like the next 2 years. And what I like about it is it's a creative process. So it's not just, every week, every time I do this, it takes so many hours to put a show together, but I'm diving into it. And I give you the resources at the end. So if you
Yep.
want to go look into the National Institutes of Health and read all their literature on yeast research, genomes, and all that good stuff, you can. You can
And-
geek out on it.
And the amount of research you do for these episodes is just incredible. And the way that you're able to deliver it succinctly and fun and just in the Val style. It's really, I really appreciate it. And
Thank
and
you.
they're
Thank you.
generally 17 to 25 minutes. Is that kind of your ballpark of what you're trying to do? Or
I am, yeah, I'm trying to keep it to 17 to 20-ish, about commute size. And I think that's for one person talking.
Yeah.
I think that's all anybody can stand, and, and especially when I edit my own voice and hear it as much as I do, it's all I can stand. So, yeah.
Yep.
So,
And so are there any is it going to stay a one woman show? Are you going to start having guests on, or kind of where do you see it going as far as like format goes, or is it going to stay the same?
and that's already been evolving with the first season, because I had seen a guest series, and I do have some future guests lined up that said they would love to, come on the show. I will tell you, guests are hard.
Hmm.
And when we were doing Wine to Five, I mean, that was one thing. When it was just me and Steph just yapping away at the mic, and it was just us, it was a good time. And guests are great, and we love meeting people. I mean, I've met my wine idols doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it has been such a great way to meet people and build community, but it's a lot of work, especially when your guests are in Europe.
Mhm.
I did 2 interviews last week where, one was in New York City, the other one was in London, but setting them up was like a logistical, not for Glass and Session, for another podcast I produce. So yeah, I should mention I produce the Wine Scholar Guild podcast too. And so those,
Humble brag.
Just
those
just a little other podcast.
they're a lot. Well, they're a lot of work, because it's not mine, and I can't just do it again because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So there's a little more pressure on you to get it right and to coordinate mostly with people in Europe. So guests are hard, and I've just enjoyed, it's like I'll take about 3 to 5 takes. I'll record it into my little Zoom here, and I'm like, yeah, that sucked. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to go have a drink, and I'm going to come back, and I might do it a third time before I really decide I like it. And it's the creative process. It's like a blog where you edit
Mm-hmm.
and you go back and rewrite. So to me, it's an audio blog. That's kind of all it is.
Yeah.
So should we do that? Like we just, take a break and go have a
Get a
drink, and then come back, and we'll be done at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
No.
That's called
No,
an
no.
after party, John. That's called an after
Yeah.
party. And you see what happens with those.
So
Yeah.
I can't let this slide because we're all I like to stay humble and grounded and everything, but you brought up getting to through podcasting, getting to meet your heroes, and Val, I just want to say thanks. That's so sweet. Now
I got to meet you guys in person, right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Now that normally I wait till the end of the interview to tell people how to run their businesses, but I just cannot let this slide because while I loved Wine 2.5 and I will always be a hardcore Wine 2.5er, I'm loving Glass in Session because I'm seeing something bigger coming out of this. I'm seeing you breaking up these seasons into different sections. I see you focusing on fringe wines right now, and flor and aperitifs and rosados and tavel. And I'm seeing that, you're very particular about how you word things to get things across just right. And you're an amazing educator. And just the way that I see this as I'm like jotting down notes,
Aw.
I'm like, Val's writing a book. Like whether she's intending to or not, she's writing like the greatest, most amazing compendium to wine that the world has ever witnessed. And I'm just wondering, like, are you saving your transcripts of your shows that you're doing now? And when is the book coming out?
Well, I'm saving the transcripts. There was no book planned on wine to come out. No, I leave that to Jancis. She's the queen. She's the queen. I would never compete.
You could be the heiress.
No, I can never compete with the OCW, the Oxford Companion, to wine. I might do a memoir sometime, and that's where the lifestyle blog came in 10 years ago. So, and that'll be more in the humor category. And oh yeah, you did that interview with your thong panties on backwards. Nicely done. So it'll be more in that kind of, that kind of realm.
Okay.
And John's speechless.
Yeah. Let everybody parse for that visual for a second, and then John
Sorry,
Maniac.
it happened. It happened. It happened.
See, okay, I'm not going to go into that because anyway, you don't have to find the door even if they're on backwards. Anyway, so in this first season, did you tell us about your decision-making process a little bit of how, on these directions you went in? You talked about how you didn't think like the first episode was going to go into floor yeast, but it did. Are there other things that a different direction you went in that you really didn't expect, and how are these categories or subjects making the cut for you?
It started out where I was, I work in Trello. I don't know if you guys use Trello or not, but it's like kind of a nice way to organize all your stuff, so I organize all my business transactions and everything in Trello. And as I was composing the show and coming up with the ideas and whatever, I was coming up with segments, because remember, Wind to Five had segments, and you guys have segments. And I was, oh, never mind. That was my screensaver. It's like everything went black for a minute. It's like, is it time?
Well, it happens to me all the time. Sometimes when I'm walking the dogs.
It's just wine. But yeah, I had envisioned segments, and then the more I got into it, and the more I started playing with music, playing with the different feel of the show, the more I kind of pulled back. I said, you know what, I'm just going to keep it simple. And so I hit the easy button to answer your question in a short way. And then as the show evolved, I have the episodes all in the Trello, and I thought, you know what? I have this wine down in the basement. I think this will go in the fringe. I'm going to open this close to Bon, and we're going to talk about this. And then I ended up finding a Chiaretto, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk about Chiaretto and bar, and all this. And so I have the freedom to kind of shape shift a little bit. And so the first season may not look anything like the second season. So I'll take an episode that I might have put in this season, like I might have put in a Lambrusco episode this season, and now I'm like, oh, well, somebody contacted me. They're going to send me a sample that fits in with this category. So I might just move Lambrusco to season 2 or season 3, and I might squeeze in Cariñena, or something like that. So I think that freedom, that living outside the box, which has been my mantra since I retired 10 years ago last month, has been kind of freeing. I don't stick to an editorial schedule so much. I can twist things a little bit and make things fit and maybe pull them out. It's like, I don't feel like doing grape brandy. I think I'm going to save that for season 3. So I actually have the seasons kind of like a little, puzzle. You just take the piece out, put it back in over here,
2,000 pieces.
2,000 pieces of puzzle. It's on my Instagram. It's not pretty.
So has there been in what you've done so far for season 1? So you've done your fringe wines, your floor yeast. You've done Italian pink. What was episode 2? I'm blanking on it right now.
It was aperitif wine.
Aperitif
and
wine.
aromatized wines, which I didn't even realize was a wine category. I totally forgot that. I'm like, this is a wine category.
Yeah.
And you go into the liquor store and you're like, what is this? This is vermouth. Guess what? It's a wine.
Right.
And I totally forgot that. And I pulled out a very old book. I'm like, it is in here as the 4th category of wine. You've got sparkling, you've got dessert wines, you've got table wines, and then you've got the aperitif wines or aromatized wines like vermouth and quinquinas and Americano. And I totally none of that registered, and I've never been tested on any of it.
Oh, interesting.
Believe it or not, even with the diploma, it might have been covered under liqueurs, but it wasn't so much tested.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say vermouth. I've got some in my Lazy Susan next to the balsamic vinegar. Should I go try some?
How long has it been there, and is it open?
At least a year, at least 18 months. It's cooking vermouth.
No, throw it away.
So is that, or what is there any one thing that you can point to that you were like, blown away by as you did the research for the first 3 or 4 episodes that you've done so far? Was it that or was there something else that really blew you away or shocked you?
That blew me away, but I got to tell you, the research on the floor yeast. I mean, I never intended it for it to go that deep, but once you get on the National Institutes of Health website and you start reading all these peer-reviewed articles, I love journal articles. I love writing papers. It's just a weird thing I have. And I just started going really deep and just fascinated to find out that the fermentation yeast and the yeast that's used to make floor, the floor yeast is not the same strain. Or, you know, and there are different strains of the floor yeast, and there are thousands of strains. And I was like, I never cared about yeast before, but it just got to be so interesting. And the way the yeast performs in the wine, how it explains the flavors of the wine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we learn that when we study sherry, but, you know, we don't think about that. I'm like, whoa, that's a wine under floor. And that's the thing about Clos Sabin that I always thought was so cool. It's a rosé wine that hangs out under a veil, a thin veil, not a fluffy veil, but a thin veil of yeast for a year. What?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was like, and that was a great episode that you started with, because I think it really set the tone. And, you know, I was like, oh, floor. And then I saw it was like 20 minutes long. I'm like, 20 minutes long. And then I listened to it and I was like engrossed in it the whole time. And I'm like, holy shit, she is doing this for 20 minutes and it's fascinating. So I'm loving it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an acquired taste, this new podcast. Some people have written me and said, I can't wait for your new show. I'm like, it's weird.
It's so
it's so weird.
It's so you though, because it's
weird.
So Val. Like, I mean, it's just so Val. So Jeff or John, what oh, before we do that, again, folks, we're talking to Val Caruso from Glass in Session podcast. And Val, what is the best place for people to find you on the social medias?
Well, I am on Twitter at WineGala Unboxed. I'm usually there. I prefer it. It's just easy. Get in, get out, see what you want, do a search, get out. On Facebook, I do have a Vino with Val page. It probably is under Wine Tastings with Val, but it'll resolve Vino. I'm not there a lot. I post a couple times a week and then I get off. Instagram, Vino with Val. I'm not on Pinterest a lot. I need to be more, but I don't understand it. I don't know. You go and you put stuff and then what? What do you do? You
don't need to be. You don't need to be.
Yeah,
if you were going to do Pinterest, and maybe this kind of leads into my next question here. I could see Val doing a Pinterest where it was all about like podcasting gear and just focusing in on that, right?
Yeah.
Because
you could have a page for that, but there's a Facebook group for that. It's a podcasting gear group, and I just go in there and skulk. You know,
so here's the thing, and I bring this up because, like, you know, my initial introduction into the great Valerie Caruso was when she was on our show, when she was on our podcast, and I got to know more about her by listening to her on her podcast, the Wine 25 podcast, and I continue to listen to her on Glass in Session, and she's producing other podcasts as well, and it's just, you know, just by talking to Val enough, that she loves this medium so much. And I have to know, Val, what is it about podcasts that you love? Like, why do you love podcasts?
Well, I love to talk, so there's that. But I think what I really like about it is, I was a blogger and I still get out there and I put something out once in a while, not on so much wine, but it was more lifestyle with my wine journey when I first retired and moved to Italy. So that's where it started. And I feel like the older I get, the attention to detail in my editing is not as good, especially when I was finishing that degree last year. I was like, oh my gosh, my teachers would be dinging me for stupid things. And I feel like my attention to detail on writing is not as excellent as it might have been when I was an executive officer in the military and I was correcting everybody's stuff with a purple pen. So I thought, you know what? I really don't want to write a wine blog. I don't. I mean, I'll write pieces for somebody when they ask me, but I prefer, as far as communications goes, I love reading, I love writing, I love doing papers, but I love speaking. I'm one of those people who loves public speaking. I do public speaking, and it's one of those things people say, hey, come speak to us. Yay. That's my happy place. I'm not one of those people that fears it. I love it. I love doing briefings and podcasting. this whole concept of having this time shifted downloadable content. You listen when you want. You go back and listen again. You just, I'll have episodes from like a glass with Ollie Smith. I don't know if you've heard that one. Yeah, it's produced by Richard Hemming, Master of Wine. And Ollie Smith does this one where they interview different British celebrities and what have you. And they interviewed Pink in the first one. She grows grapes too. Did you know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'll let those episodes pile up, but I listen to them when I want to. And if I miss something, I can go back. And so I don't have to watch anything live. I don't have to watch a video. I can listen to it while I'm folding laundry or scrubbing toilets or whatever I'm doing, walking around. I listen to you guys in the shower, the whole thing. So driving, I just love Audible content that's portable and on demand. I want it when I want it. And that is fascinating to me.
And I do have to say that Val is one of the best. Like we're stoked on her passion. I do also have to ask you this because you and Eccles were talking gear right before we started, and I have to imagine when it comes to gear, I think about it like when I was a big time long distance runner. You don't know how many shoes I have that I don't wear anymore that other people would think are like brand new and like perfect, and they'd love to have them. I'd imagine you probably have 20 different microphones just sitting in your closet, like ready to go to like needy children that want to get their start in podcasting. Tell me that this vision is a reality, that you've got so much gear that you want to start giving it away.
I actually do have some that I'm going to start getting rid of, but one of them would be the blue snowball. That first one, that was my starter mic, and that was fun. The ATRs, I do have two of them, and they go in cases for when I want to do a location type interview. And then I have my H6 here, which is awesome. So I use my H6, and I am jonesing for a nice, a nice new microphone, a nice RE320, and and maybe a nice, bit of gear there. But I don't want to spend that kind of money. It's because I don't do this for money. I'm not doing my podcast for money. I'm doing it as a creative outlet. I'm not going to invest that kind of money until I really, really feel the need to. So yeah, I don't have a closet full of it, but there were some microphone stands and things in there. I'm like, yeah, that was cute when I first started, but and some guys look at my gear. Oh, that's cute. Look at her little pop filter. That's just adorable. Look at her with ATR 2100. But hey, you know what? You don't need a lot of money to do this.
No,
and to do it well.
No, you don't.
It just speaks to your passion. Like here's the thing about like gearheads in whatever industry. It means that you think about this stuff all the time, and that's what really translates. And it's very apparent when you listen to a Val produced show.
Oh, thank you. And it's good to produce. It's good to network with other podcasters and support other podcasters. So if anybody else out there has a podcast, you know what I'm talking about. The minute you hear somebody has a podcast on something you like, you're like, what? Download.
Yep.
Adam Conover's got a new podcast. Factually, yes. So, yeah.
John, any last questions?
Well, yeah, I do have a question, but all this talk about microphones reminds me I need to rinse all the beer and wine out of my microphone cover.
Probably a good idea.
and soak it in sanitizer for a day. No. So, Val, you were talking about how you're, as you're getting older and the attention to detail in your writing and things of that nature, which seems to go a little bit against the way you've tackled your first couple episodes with just the digging into the detail of stuff. It seems like, you find this thing, case in point, the floor yeast that you did, that it's like, but maybe your writing doesn't approach that attention to detail that you want, but your research does. So maybe I don't know, wine esoterica kind of a thing that you may attack in kind of a roundabout way in your travels and your new seasons, because I kind of see that.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's weird and off the beaten path, chances are I'm going to explore it. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, yes. Because
yeah,
I think the tried and true subjects of all this other stuff is kind of played to death a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so that's why when it comes to accepting samples, it's the same thing. If it fits into my editorial schedule, which serendipity, has it. Okay, these rosés will fit in this season, but I don't want to just do like, oh yeah, here's another Merlot, whatever. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, I walk into my wine shop, I ask my wine guy, what's new and weird.
I want weird.
And Dirk.
Dirk. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm glad you made that little like turn once you started talking about Merlot. Otherwise, 10 years down the road, people talk about the Caruso effect. Nobody buys Merlot anymore. It's all Val's fault.
No, that has nothing to do with me liking it or not. It's just everybody talks about the same stuff, the same time of year. Everybody's talking about the same things. But, when I look at my writing on these things, I'm like, oh, God, why I'm an Oxford comma fan. And it only took me a couple years ago to not do the double spaces between the period and then the capital. And I look at my writing and I'm like, you know what? It's just not up to par with some of these writers anymore. And I just don't want to go through the editing process. Steph did all the editing for the blog when we were in Wine to Five because I was like, I write shit. She's like, it's spelled like this. I'm like, yeah, I know that. I just didn't.
I
don't care. You're gonna fix it anyway.
No, she was amazing. She has amazing attention to detail, but she's also like 12 years younger, so she's still in that. She's still in that. And I'm like kind of like on the other side of the sine curve. I'm like, I'm just getting ready to retire.
Everybody break out your TI 85s real quick if you don't get that.
I have one. Are you kidding me? I have one.
Do you have Tetris on it?
The graphing calculator you're talking about?
Yeah,
I have it over there. No, mine's a Casio. I'm sorry, mine's a Casio. Big screen, like this big. It graphs.
My TA85 was 8-bit, and I had Tetris on it. So my AP calculus teacher in 1996, he thought I was listening. I was playing video games.
That is so funny. No, mine's from the 80s, dude. Mine's from the mid 80s. Yeah.
All right. So Val, is there anything that we missed that you wanted to make sure that you got over to our listeners?
No, I think that's it. Like I said, it's a really weird podcast. And I put on my show that if it's something that you're into and you see an episode and you want to listen, please do. But, if you don't listen. So I do that with all my podcasts. Oh, that's a guest I'm not too interested in. Slide to the left or whatever you call it. Swipe left. Is that what you guys do now?
I don't even know.
I haven't been single in a very long time. So.
Yeah. I never did that. But yeah, so I just encourage people to, life is short. You only have so much content you can consume on a daily basis. Just look at what's interesting to you, give it a try. And if it's not, move on.
There you go. Wise word from Valerie Caruso.
Hells yeah.
Glass in Session.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, Val. We appreciate you joining us. We're going to move on with the show and let more chaos happen. So just feel free to jump in and chime in whenever you feel like getting snarky with us.
Snarky is my middle name.
I know it. So, all right. So let's get into this.
That's our Netherlands music.
Yeah, that's our punt. That's just like whatever. It's like something to talk about that doesn't have a bumper. We're just going to use that.
I don't remember that. Okay.
So, yeah, it's new. All right. So iTunes reviews. We've got 2 this week, guys. 2 iTunes review this week. I'm so these. I think John Ruyak. How about you read the first one?
The Best by Wine Beer Me Up. 5 stars. I feel like they're my friends. Laugh out loud.
That's awesome. That's really kind of what we go for. We just kind of go for you are our friend. We love you, and you're just hanging out with us while we drink and talk shit about stuff. So
hey, friends give each other money. Visit the Patreons / welikedrinking.com/pledge.
Nice segue, John, for you. I'll take this one. I was going to let Jeff do it, but I think I'll take this one.
Well, there's some context here for this next one. The last time we read a review from this person, I believe somebody said the only thing we need to figure out how to do now is with all of our fans putting We Like Drinking stickers up all over the world. And by the way, only do that at a place that asks you to put stickers up there. Somebody asked, hey, how do you put a sticker on a whale's taint? I honestly think that's where it came from. This is the most amazing review ever. Please.
Do you want to take it, Jeff?
No.
Our stickers are marine compliant.
All right. So the title of this one is Love Me This Podcast by our favorite reviewer, Whale Taint Johnson, who gives us 5 stars. And he says, the way to a whale's taint is by finding their vestigial
Vestigial.
leg bones via echolocation. The rest is all about diddling and poking, which any fan reading the show notes is an expert on. That's not the problem. The real issue is finding stickers with adhesive properties that can withstand salt water and barnacles. Those motherfucking barnacles. I really love this show. You should trust me on this one. I have exquisite taste. After all, I named myself Whale Taint Johnson. So Whale Taint Johnson is so active in the iTunes review process. We thank you so much, Taint.
I feel like you never know when Whale Taint Johnson, WTJ is what I call him. You never know when he or she is going to update their reviews. And I think that's why it's important that everybody just goes to Apple Podcasts and just reads the reviews. You might be seeing some amazing stuff there.
You might be. All right. So thank you for that, Whale Taint Johnson.
Thanks, WTJ.
We are going to move on to the hard-hitting
Oh my God.
booze news. Were we just interesting, noteworthy, or taints? Jeff Solomon.
Oh my God. So here we are recording on June 26th of 2019. This will be coming out on Friday, June 20. What's 26 plus 2? 28th of 2019. As of today of this recording, the Supreme Court made a major decision that has a whole lot of impact in the greater booze world. There was a case of Tennessee Wine and Spirits Retail Association, along with 34 other states, against Total Wine. Apparently, what happened was Total Wine wanted to, and they're a huge wine and beer and alcohol retailer. They wanted to open up a store in Tennessee, but Tennessee has had a law in the books for the last 80 years that requires anyone getting a liquor license to have already had a 2-year residency in their state. And there were some interesting arguments that were coming into play here. Some folks would say that by not allowing somebody to move to a state and start a business on the first day, you're in violation of the Constitution because it's a barrier to interstate commerce. And then there's some other folks that would argue that as part of the 21st Amendment, which repealed prohibition, they left everything up to the states, and it was up to the states to have different laws and regulations regarding this. So the decision came down from the Supreme Court, and it really wasn't close. It was a 7-2 decision to repeal Tennessee's law about having a 2-year residency before getting a liquor license. The two dissenting opinions were from Brett Kavanaugh and from Clarence Thomas.
Neil Gorsuch.
Neil Gorsuch.
Jesus! Gorsuch! And they're like the same. No. Okay. Neil Gorsuch and Clarence
really
Thomas. I know they're not. I'm so sorry. I've been doing that all day long. I'm really bad at this. So I did want to say, from the majority opinion, Judge Alito, part of what he said was this had to be repealed because it was blatantly favoring state residents, and it had little relationship to public health or safety, which is what deemed this unconstitutional. And so Kavanaugh had written the dissenting opinion saying, "Look, this has been on the books."
You just have a Jones for Kavanaugh.
Oh, Jesus. Gorsuch wrote the dissenting opinion saying that, this is about state rights and this particular law has been on the books for 80 years and we're just now saying this is unconstitutional. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Are you siding with the majority or the minority here? What do you think?
I don't care. It's like one of those things I don't really have an opinion on, I guess.
It's funny because we talked about this back in December when it was first presented, John.
Right. Yeah. Didn't I? I thought I presented the story, but it had nothing to do with Total Wines at the time. There was a couple that were trying to open a store and they hadn't lived in Tennessee long enough.
Yeah. And I don't know if Total Wine signed on to it with them or how it happened, but it was a couple that had tried to do it and Total Wine. And when we talked about this and the articles I'm seeing on a Spectator and all these people talking about it was how this was going to be a major game-changing decision, whichever way they went with it. And as I'm reading the stuff today on it, I'm like, what's really going to change with this? I mean, I know 34 states signed on to it and, they went back. And so now in Tennessee, you don't have to have a 2-year residency to be able to open a wine shop there. But I don't really see how this is going to have a major impact to me buying wine from out of state retailers.
Here's why I think it might have a major impact is I think that it chips away at this idea that individual states can have these just weird, obscure laws about how you're able to do business simply because you're dealing with booze. Because, here's the thing, if would a state put up a law that said that I couldn't open up a McDonald's in a brand new make-believe state because I hadn't lived there long enough? And again, you would say, well, that's unconstitutional. You're barring interstate commerce because this business has a right to do business with people in this state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is a good win for the wine and spirits industry, because it doesn't take something away, right?
Right.
But I think this is a positive for Tennessee. Obviously, it's a positive for the people that want to open a shop. So I think I don't think this puts a nail in a coffin against anything. Which if they had stood by it, I think that may have hindered things. But I don't think this opens any floodgates. But I think this takes us a step in a better direction.
Yeah. I'm always in favor of lessening the restrictions a little bit, in favor of, development or commerce or, just like in our state, we live in that state where we could have one store that had liquor in it in a chain and they were all up in Denver kind of thing. Or we couldn't have alcohol in our stores, our grocery stores, unless it was 3.2 beer.
Right.
Stupid, know. So I'm always in favor of lightening up a little bit on that.
Yep.
For the most part, as far as the wine industry goes, then there's the other argument that Gorsuch brings up here, but
or maybe it was Kavanaugh. Who knows?
So
I like beer.
You like beer?
Sorry, I like beer.
I like beer.
John, I know you have feelings.
I do. So I kind of the Tennessee law, implemented 80 years ago, I guess, was to make sure that people that are applying for a liquor license are invested in the community and hopefully not abusing their ability to sell alcohol to the detriment of the community, right? So you live there for 2 years, you have some anchor or whatever in order to be renewed for the license. You haven't abused that public trust by serving teenagers and all that other, things that would get your license revoked anyway, but, trying to keep out bad actors. I get that. But yeah, same point. I mean, in this day and age, how does that really play? I mean, you're
Let the market be the market, damn it.
yeah, you're restricting market forces, which is, it's the whole interstate commerce clause, right?
Yep.
I do think there's, especially in a state, now Tennessee has got some, you've got Nashville, you've got Memphis, but there's a lot of poverty in between there, right?
Mhm.
Tennessee's not a real, it's got a lot of rural areas, a lot of poverty in Appalachia and some places along the Mississippi River and things like that. So you're kind of putting local individuals at a little bit of a disadvantage because a lot of national big money is going to come in, and it may. I mean, I get that. I mean, free trade is, the capitalist system is what it is, but I kind of see both sides of the stories, but I still side on the same way as the way the Supreme Court went with this.
Regardless of the group or the family or the individual that owns Total Wine, you're telling me that they're going to ship in people from another state to actually run that store? I mean, here's the thing. What about who could be some poor dude in Appalachia who could maybe one day, John, become the regional manager of Total Wine and end up sending his kids to college?
Anyway, if you know the way those types of places work, you know exactly that they're going to send people from other states in to run those places and at least get them started, and hopefully local people will advance their way into leadership roles in the local area.
Well, that's the thing. I think local people would get those roles right away. I would think that, yeah, of course you're going to have some big wigs moving over into those areas, but certainly one could look at an opportunity like this as an economic boon to an area. And as a consumer, having the opportunity, am I going to buy my shine from my friend Popcorn down the street, or am I going to go to a reputable business where I know what's inside of it, and help other families that work in that store by making those purchases?
You're going to buy your shine from Clyde May is what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
If I were in Alabama, I would. Apparently, to Jeff Eccles, Alabama and Tennessee are the same state.
Actually, the same thing with Colorado, the same, with selling beer and stuff like that in supermarkets and all that stuff. I think competition helps in some regard. It gets people to find niches because nobody can be the be all end all of everything, even Total Wines. I mean, you're still, if that store, if that opportunity, if that Total Wine's presence in Tennessee helps to elevate fine beer, fine liquor, fine wine education amongst the people, then it benefits everybody because then you can get some specialization, some stores. I mean, there's still places, I go to Total Wines a lot to pick up my stuff for podcast night, but they're not the answer all the time. Sometimes it's Kelly's, sometimes it's Enchanted Spirits, sometimes it's Paradise Liquors, lots of times it's Lizard Tail, right? So,
John is the plug master tonight.
Yeah. So I think overall it helps,
Yeah.
rising waters lift all boats.
And certainly I'm going to say something else that might really offend some hardcore, old school Tennesseans, but I think it's important to think about it this way. You've got this law that's been on the books for the last 80 years, and it's just existed because that's just the way it's always been, man. But really, that is so, and they're going to hate this word, but I'm going to use it. That's so elitist to say that people who wrote this law that are now dead know better than you in terms of what is good for you. Fuck that, man.
Man,
Fuck that.
you sound
No government should be able to jump in there and say, no, we're going to choose what's good for you in terms of which stores you're allowed to go to. Total Wine, they don't have your best interest in mind. And we know because we're dead.
that's
Solomon, you sounded a little bit conservative right there.
right. You sound like
No, it's just.
you sounded a lot like Gorsuch or Kavanaugh or whoever.
Did I? Because apparently Gorsuch
I
or
like
Kavanaugh or whoever the hell that guy is, apparently he doesn't get it.
You know, I guess when it comes to things like these, I don't weigh in too heavily because I'm always on the side of consumer choice.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. And yes, I understand. I have friends in the wine industry, and there's the whole argument for, oh, yeah, well, then you could put the local stores out of business. And we've had that happen here. My friends own small wine shops, and I don't want to see them go out of business, which is why I support them, even though I do advocate for consumer choice when it comes to, hey, if I'm in Whole Foods and I'm buying a steak, I want to be able to walk out with a bottle of Cabernet too. I want that convenience because I'm a consumer. So I'll vote, even if I don't take advantage of that. I always vote in the favor of consumer choice. But there's so many nuances here. We don't live in Tennessee, and so I'm always kind of like open to both sides. There are two sides to this, or three, what's really happening, and we aren't privy to that. So I think NPR did a really good job of summing up the pros and the cons. Yes, the big box stores could move in, but then the local stores could go out of business. But then liquor prices could go down. Then there could be more product choices. So you can go back and forth all night long. But I think it's interesting to be aware of these things, especially if you're in the industry and as a consumer. But there's give and take on both sides of that, and it is hard to have it one way. Does that make sense, or am I drunk?
No, it does.
Yes.
Okay.
It does.
All right.
And yes,
both
both
things be
both
true, Val?
things.
What's that?
Can't it make sense and you be drunk at the same time? It all works.
Okay.
Depends on who's listening.
All right. So I knew talking about a Supreme Court decision was going to get in the weeds, but I didn't think it'd get that far in the weeds.
Where's my dissent caller?
Do you guys like beer?
But if Jeff Solomon can't keep all his Supreme Court justices straight, it must be.
Last call.
Last
Oh,
call.
Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. We're looking for your help on the socials and whatnot. So, John Ruyak, if the people want to follow us on the social medias, what is the best way for them to do that?
You got some choices here, folks. You can hit Twitter. That's We Like Drinking 1, numeral 1. Instagram, We Like Drinking. And really the fun place is hit up our private group on Facebook. That's We Like Drinking /tavern.
That's right. And can we just give a big old shout out to Dimitri, our good friend, Patreon and listener and tavern supporter Dimitri, on his wedding.
Congratulations.
New York City, off on Air France, getting the high class treatment on.
Oh, that wine menu. Holy
Yes.
shit.
Hey, Mazel Tov, man. I got a bag of peanuts for you when you come back.
So we know that you're on your honeymoon right now and making sure that you're listening to this show.
Of course.
So what else? To you and your wife, congratulations. Enjoy.
Congratulations.
L'chaim.
We look forward to you joining us post hockey in a couple weeks. Valerie Caruso, once again, the best place for the people to find you on Twitter. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I love the Twitter. I really do. Wine Gal Unboxed.
At Wine Gallon Box.
At Wine Gal Unboxed.
She is a fun and snarky follow, and she will tell you all the podcasts you're missing out on. Trust me.
Oh my gosh.
She
yes.
does Twitter as good as Jeff McKinney. What's Jeff McKinney's handle? I just want to give him a shout out because he's just awesome.
I don't
Prince of Apathy.
There it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh.
Prince of Apathy.
So if you want to make your taint shine like Whale Taint Johnson, consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. Go to Apple Podcasts, search out We Like Drinking, give us a big fat 5-star review, and let us know what you think about the show with a little blurb. That way, Whale Tate Johnson won't be the first review people see when they go look at our show. Also, please don't forget to vote for us at the Podcast Award, podcastaward.com. We are in the arts category. Jeff Solomon, if the people got some money burning a hole in their pockets, what should they do with it?
If you don't want it to be on the top of the list, don't organize by most relevant. So, make sure that you're visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out more about how you can become a patron of the show through Patreon, which again, next to Apple Podcasts, is my second favorite app on my Apple iPhone is the Patreon app. That's a great way to just be able to get our content, our show a day earlier, sometimes two. It's a great way to take part in polls that help, point the direction of the show. And you're getting in on that for as little as $1 a month. So, for less than a third of the price of a cup of coffee every month, you could help make this show better. welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out more.
You can also find the show notes for this episode, while the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. Or if you're on your phone right now, swipe right. I don't know if that works anymore, but that's what we're going to say. Okay, we've gone a little long, but what do you expect when we've got Val on the show? We're talking about podcast awards, and we're talking about the Supreme Court. I mean, the shit's going to go long. And it
solving
did.
the world's problems.
That's right. But it's time where
all this talk about Supreme makes me want to go on a Taco Bell run, bro.
Brah. I hear something that like Taco Bell is now like the healthiest fast food restaurant in the nation.
It's been because their meat is mostly soy protein with like a little bit of beef.
I hear some Supreme, and I just want to drop the needle on the vinyl with some Diana Ross.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, those nacho fries though. Like, oh, come on, bro.
Okay, panel.
Doritos, Tacos, Locos, Cool Ranch.
Shut off the lights, John.
Well, I mean, it's tough because I've been paying attention. I didn't have a lot of time to think about what I was going to say during around the table at the end. So should I talk about the fact that the dog under my desk has got gas? Should I talk about the fact that we just released a Idaho 7 single hop IPA that's absolutely freaking killer? Or should I just say that I've had 3 beers, but it's raining, so I might go out and look for snakes and toads on the road after we sign off?
May as well. All super related to the show. So great job, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, real quick, somebody asked me, what's my favorite not really craft beer? Go ahead, ask.
What's your favorite not really craft beer?
Cut the music. Balpa da balpa, dag a dag dag, a dig a dog dig, blue moon. Bring it back.
I'm unfriending you on Facebook.
Ooh, burn.
Sick burn.
Hey, man, if you don't like doo-wop and bass, unfollow me now.
Ain't got nothing to do with those pipes, baby. It's about that blue moon.
Valerie Caruso. She may never come on the show again.
No, this is fun. Thank you so much.
Before we let you get out of here.
No, everybody have a great summer. Be safe. Drink responsibly.
I like how you did the double guns there a little bit.
That's all I got. It was bedtime, so I'm gonna shuffle off the bed here soon. So.
Right. So Val, I'll just say, thank you so much for coming back for a 4th time. You are an elite club, 4-time member of the panel.
Next time you get a jacket.
That's right. Yes.
So thank you for coming back on the show. Thank you for Glass in Session. We missed you in my ear holes, and I'm glad to have you back there. spinning the shit only the way Val can. So
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
look forward to season 2, 3, and 4 and 5 this year, however your schedule is going to work out.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast.
Where
you'll never drink alone.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that went.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Now I had a lot of intermittent technical glitches and stuff. Did you hear that? Or
I
do you-
had one.
Okay.
You
But
came across fine over here. Like I didn't really notice anything.
I was worried for Jeff for recording purposes. I didn't know how.
You sounded fine to me. I could tell you were having some issues because it was because your video was way off from your audio, but your audio came through clear the whole time.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
no, I
but
had
there was-
trouble hearing these guys a lot of times. It would kind of go in and out. So I was
Okay.
just wondering if you
I had
I hopefully got a good recording.
no
I gotta-
problem with the audio stream from you on my end.
Yay.
No,
Yay.
it was very much a Japanese movie for a while there, though. It was visually audio. You're talking, but visually you weren't doing anything. It was like you were sitting there, but I could not moving, but I could hear you talking. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
saw
a lot
you
of
talking the whole
Crouching
time.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon. What's that?
Yeah.
It could have been this beautiful enjoy by 7/4/2019, but everything seemed fine over here.
Awesome.
No problem.
I was like, our 40 megabits per second to the house sometimes doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It gets throttled down to 2.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, no kidding. Well,
so
guys, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
What
So
was that, Jeff?
get to bed. I appreciate you taking the time late at night to join us. I'll get you links sometime tomorrow. And then feel free to share them out on Friday when the show goes live.
Yeah, definitely will. Thank you, guys. It's
Awesome.
good to see y'all again.
Thanks, Val.
Come back
All right,
soon,
thank
Val.
you,
We
Val.
missed
Hey.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Happy
Bye.
4th.
I lost my mouse. Like my mouse stopped working completely.
Oh, you don't have a backup
Whoa.
battery?
No, like it's my key. Like on my
Oh, your touch
Oh.
mouse on your keyboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
so I
That
had to
sucks.
do everything by keystroke for the.
Oh God.
What?
Wow.
So I have no
Wow.
idea how to stop the Google Hangout or the mouse. So
Like the mouse came off or it glitched out?
no, like I have no mouse on my screen right now. I'm having to do everything via keyboard.
Oh,
That is
man.
so cool.
Yeah, for us.
This is like the greatest, like this stream will exist in perpetuity.
Yeah. So right.
Buckle up, Jeff McKinney. This is gonna go on forever.
Yeah, for real. All right, so I'm going to shit. I don't know what's happening here. No, that's not where I want that. Yeah, so I got to figure out how the fuck I'm gonna do any of this stuff. So I'm gonna let you guys get.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you make sure that you already saved in Audacity? Is that
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
okay? Yeah.
I was able to stop the recording, and now I have to get back to it to be able to try to save it before I reboot everything.
Okay.
I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you guys go so I can
Yeah.
concentrate on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go do that.
All right.
Great show, guys. Hey,
Yeah, that
happy
was fun.
Independence Day.
Yeah, happy 4th, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Safe trip. Safe trip.
All right.
Jeff.
Thanks, bud.
Stay rad.
All right, later.
See you guys.